You know what the biggest obstacle to healing complex PTSD is? It's not your parents. It's not the healthcare system. It's not politics or money or social media. The reason you're getting stuck is most probably because you keep sabotaging yourself. You block your own healing with self-defeating behaviors. We all do it sometimes, and up to a point we can probably keep making progress anyway. But the fact is, a lot of people with CPTSD are walking around not healing. They're still stuck. They're getting more stuck, more disconnected, more angry, and more suppressed from ever becoming happy or fulfilled or becoming the person they were meant to be. I'm Anna Runkle, also known as the Crappy Childhood Fairy, and I teach people to break through the traps that hold you back from healing from abuse and neglect in your childhood. Those things can create a lifetime of problems, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are things you can do right now to start changing the direction of your life. And in this video, I want to talk about the ways you might be sabotaging your own healing and teach you what to do to stop doing that. Are you ready? The first thing, and this one's been made harder for a lot of us lately, but it's time to stop isolating. That is a form of self-sabotage. If you're like most people with CPTSD, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you get extra triggered by other people, and it can be hard to show up with an open heart and an open mind in social situations and to make the kind of connection with other people that supports healing. There's this huge temptation to pull back from other people. And you might be isolating overtly, hiding out in your house, or you might be isolating covertly and kind of acting like you're available and friendly, but secretly avoiding invitations and personal openness and making commitments to people. And either way, the result is the same. You end up alone. And as much as you may find it hard, you need other people to be in the mix, to be reflecting back to you and interacting with you so that you can progress in your own healing. Now, isolation is funny. It's caused by trauma, but it causes trauma. And I know a bunch of you are going to say isolating is the only way that you stay safe from the kind of mistreatment that you went through in the past. And in one way, you're right. If you don't have contact with people, well, yeah, they can't mistreat you. But at the same time, if you don't have contact with people, you can't heal. So there comes a time, if you're going to stop sabotaging yourself, that you've got to stop causing trauma for yourself and let people in a little bit. What I suggest to you is that you titrate. That's a word that I borrowed from the medical world that means just like do a little bit at a time. You let people in a little bit, you do something, and then you rest and you see how did that go. Then you do a little bit more with people, and then you step back and you go, how did that go? And then you do a little more back, more back. You can make this easier and help yourself get stronger and more flexible around people if you can, at the same time, learn to calm those triggers. And if you want a way to do that, you can go take my free course, The Daily Practice. I always put a link to it below my videos down in the description section. So that's there for you. That teaches 2 simple techniques you can use every day to have less fear, less anger, and to become just more free to connect with people and to have fun and be yourself. Okay, the second thing you're doing that's sabotaging your healing is staying stuck in your sad stories. And I know you were told that telling these stories and exploring them and feeling your feelings about them, if you could just do it enough times or for enough years, that someday you'd feel better. And if that worked for you, or you're just watching this video because you want to help a friend, then great. But if you feel that maybe you've told your story and felt the feelings and learned whatever you can about what happened in the past, maybe it's time for a present time approach to healing that brings your attention to right now and what you can do to calm your CPTSD symptoms like dysregulation and intense emotions and what you can do to start making big positive changes in your life. Because I know you want that. It's a happy story that you want to live in now, right? This bad stuff, it did happen to you and people hurt you. And for a long time, it suppressed you and held you back. But now, let your story be about you, not the people who hurt you, not about the past, about you now. There is definitely a time and place to talk about what happened. And it can be very healing when it's the right time and in the right measure. But I haven't found that talking about it delivered continuing returns. It helps at first maybe, but then it stops. And yes, you need to have your story acknowledged and you need to share it. But you also need to feel better today. It can't be like this long-term someday thing. Like today we need to feel better. And we need to be creating a life we like right now. We want to connect with other people, to love them and be loved by them. And the thing is, when the sad stories are dominating our lives, we can't really do that. We're not present. We can't really pay attention to the lovely person right in front of us. And we don't tend to have good boundaries. And to be honest, when we're telling these stories, we're kind of negative to be around. So I'm not telling you to deny what happened, but if you've talked it to death and you still feel like your healing is stuck, maybe all that talking has turned into self-sabotage. And it's time to focus on you now and ways that you can start making things better in your work, in your relationships, in your sense of meaning, because those are all important. Okay, the third thing you can stop doing if you want to get out of self-sabotage is to stop the angry outbursts of negative emotions. Now, I know you have things to feel angry about, and what happened to you can't be erased. But there's an anger that's common with CPTSD that can get monster-sized when you're overwhelmed or feeling threatened. And no matter how perfectly you can trace why you feel that way, raging is going to cause problems in your life. It turns out that whole idea about like pounding pillows and venting when you're angry, was that ever suggested to you? Yeah, well, some researchers at Iowa State University showed that, well, what all of us already suspected, not only doesn't it reduce anger, it makes it worse. People get more aggressive from doing this. Nothing will destroy your relationships and your career and your mental health faster than lashing out from that traumatized place inside. And if you were traumatized as a kid, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you've done it. It's almost certainly been done to you, and it's poison. So yes, there are reasons to be angry. There are present-day things that might make you legitimately very upset when you're insulted or cheated or whatnot. And there are past things that happened that weren't fair and that made you feel damaged or robbed you of a wholeness that you worry you're never going to be able to find again. And I don't blame you for having anger, but here's the thing. What happened to you can never be totally set right because it's in the past and you can't change the past. And so your healing can't depend on that. It depends ultimately on you facing reality, doing what you can about what happened, if anything, and then with every bit of energy you have left to forge a good and happy life. Your happiness doesn't depend on getting revenge or getting an apology. You probably will never have those things, but you can become happy by not damaging your life anymore. You can be happy by blossoming into your real self, being you, using your talents and developing your gifts so that you can work and give love and serve the world in the unique way that only you can. We can do these things in 1,000 ways, but what we need is to feel useful. And from there, the anger has a way of just kind of working itself out. It comes out of your heart, it comes out of your mind, it comes out of your cells so that you can be free. Okay, the fourth thing to stop doing is to stop being in bad relationships. And I know we are way inside that sort of easier said than done territory, but I'm going to tell you straight, if you're going to heal, you've got to stop being in these abusive, chaotic, disrespectful, non-mutual, or breadcrumb relationships. And to keep seeking them out, it's insane. And to stay in them is spiritual death. Now, when you know something is killing you or harming the other person, but you stay anyway, there is an injury you're doing to your own integrity and self-respect that is going to then sabotage anything else that you're trying to change. Now, are there ever reasons to stay? Of course. Children come to mind. If you have a partner who's ill and for the time being you need to stay, I'm not going to try to list all the reasons why you wouldn't leave. I'm just suggesting that you look at the fact, and I know you know this, that when you believe that you have no choice but to stay in a bad or exploitive or damaging relationship, it's probably your past trauma talking. And for you to heal, some stronger part of you needs to rise up and see the situation for what it is and get you out of there. Okay, so the fifth thing that you want to get free of is a tendency to run away from challenges and opportunities. Have you done this? How many times have you turned away from a potentially good thing, a job, a relationship, telling somebody how you really feel about them, that you love them, because you had to fear that your CPTSD symptoms would just come up and drown you if you messed anything up or if you got rejected? Putting yourself out there and living your life always, always involves risk, the risk of failure. And the horrible thing about living with dysregulation and CPTSD is that failure is a risk we feel we can't afford to take. And I'm not going to give you some rah-rah personal development pep talk that you just have to be tough or think positively or something. You are tough. But what's needed to cope with failure and to not just like sacrifice everything just to avoid failure is a way to offload all that negative emotion that comes up around it. You don't have to like have no emotion, but you need to offload just enough that you're actually okay. And when your CPTSD is totally untreated and you're dysregulated and your life is shaky, no, you can't afford to lose anything, so you don't try. But when you're active in the process of healing, when you're supported by a friend or two or three who know what your challenges are, who know why it's so worth it for you to keep taking your next brave steps, when you know how to calm your triggers, you can afford to take the risk. Now, the only way to grow and learn is to try things. And the only way to bear the possibility that most of what you try is not going to pan out, it's just to embrace yourself as someone who tries and to have a really good way to find ease inside when it's hard and when you fail. It's okay if it's hard out there when there's ease in here. And that's what you didn't used to have. But now you can have that. You have freedom to try because there's ease. And if you haven't found a way to give that ease to yourself, I can teach you. It's in that link. I just keep pointing to the daily practice thing below. It's free. It's a course. You can learn it and try it in less than an hour. And it can help you to release all that pent up anger and fear and just help you experience a little bit of rest, just to experience being yourself in peace, okay? The victory for you that you're reaching for, it's more than just feeling better. And you do need to feel better, and I want that for you. But the victory is that you become your real self, not held back, but free to grow into all that you're capable of becoming. Now, if you like this topic, I picked out this video over here that'll take you a little deeper into this project of healing from your past. And I will see you very soon.